We are back for the next segment of the Stubborn German podcast.
Yeah.
On location, where are we, Chris?
We are at Castle and Key.
Castle and Key. And who's with us? Yet again.
I don't know. Garrett, Jeremy, and Matt. Matt is hanging out over to the side. It's around noon, and it's a beautiful day outside.
Yes.
A little breezy, but with that breeze is like all of the pollen in the state of Kentucky. I think it's all right here.
We're all sneezing, noses running.
Everyone taking the tour of Castle and Key is just sneezing. You know, and they have a beautiful campus. I think I've said that 18 times so far.
It's beautiful.
It is so cool, and but they do a garden type situation. We'll get into how this all came to be, but it's just kind of funny that you walk by every group of people. There's someone just sneezing their butt off,
and they yell, "It's not COVID! It's not COVID!
It's not COVID! It's pollen."
So we are at Castle and Key, which is an old distillery that has been made new again, right?
Yeah,
when did they open? Do you recall?
Well, I guess they said they started work on it. It was 9 years ago, but I think they started distilling 6 years ago, if I remember right from the tour.
But yeah, just looking around, walking around, you would think this place was 100 years old, right?
Yeah.
Because it is.
It's definitely that old.
There is a, what do we call it? Not a grotto. What is the...
I don't know what you call that.
It's supposed to be like a Roman bath.
Yes. But I hear there's a dolphin show at 2.
Yeah. Yep.
We don't want to be late for the dolphin show, so we are going to make this quick.
There's a nice stone gazebo next to the waterfall rapid.
And that's Glenn's Creek, the actual creek. And we are actually next door to another distillery, which was the old Crow Distillery, and now Glenn's Creek Distilling is there making some bourbon as well.
Chris got plenty of good photos.
Yes.
He was instructed to.
I was instructed to take good photos, and I think I got about 700 pictures to sift through, so that'll keep me busy tonight. But yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, so it's really... Obviously, it's beautiful here. They use it as an event space, right? So receptions and weddings and things, which you can definitely see that happening. They even have a bags tournament set up, looks like.
Yeah, there's a food truck over there
food truck,
that we'll probably be checking out here really shortly, right before the dolphin show.
It's definitely, for me anyway, kind of a bizarre dichotomy of like the super old retro vintage looking stuff, yet it's only been around as far as the new distillery just a few years. In fact, they just released their first bourbon this year, right?
Yeah, just a couple months ago, I want to say. Batch 1 of the bourbon came out. The Restoration Rye has been around for maybe a year or two, I would say. I'd say maybe a year, good year.
And then they have gins and vodkas, right?
They do gin and vodka, yeah. We've kind of talked about that.
And they're currently out of bourbon. We showed up to the distillery
the very
and said we don't have any bourbon.
She's like, well, just so you know, we are out of bourbon. I'm like,
so
we
have
turned
to turn around and they talked us back into
and I'm glad they did, because this is very nice. But yeah, some of the history here is really interesting. So we started out our tours by going to Buffalo Trace. So the story of Buffalo Trace, there was basically it started way back when with Colonel E.H. Taylor, and he started the OFC, Old Fire Copper Distillery, there in Frankfort. Now, when Taylor started to run out of money, he partnered with George T. Stagg, who was a salesman out of St. Louis. And so he was the money, Stagg was the money, Taylor was the distiller end of it, and they both had gigantic egos, kind of like you and I.
Right.
And they butted heads, and basically Stagg...
You know what they needed? They needed a Kevin.
They needed a Kevin, kind of like
it all
we
together
need right now. I know. But yeah, they split apart, and George T. Stagg, again, had the money, so he was like, I will buy you a new distillery if you just get out of here.
Wow.
And so that's the rumor is that Stagg paid for much of this where we are today.
I feel like, is there that much to argue about in distilling?
I guess so.
Apparently.
So yeah, this place, they call it Castle and Key because it literally looks like a castle.
Yeah.
They say Taylor was a very humble man, and he literally built himself a castle and really big, over the top, old Taylor distillery. He built a train station here so that people would stop and get off and drink his bourbon, have a big party before they go to the
giant
next
garden
stop.
area.
Yeah,
modeled after Westminster, right?
Yeah, and then that huge rick house. It's the world's longest rick house, so that as you were on the train going past, you just like couldn't help but notice this huge bourbon rick house.
And the shame of it all is that this place was in ruins. This was being demolished and dismantled. Everything was being scrapped.
Just
so
a few
it's all
years
been
ago. Yeah.
built back. It's
Did
crazy.
they say it was the 70s was the last?
That's what I recall. 72 maybe?
72?
Like okay. So it's pretty remarkable, actually, how much... I mean, you kind of would never know just by looking around that everything was destroyed and dismantled and roofs caved in and raccoons living everywhere.
I've talked to Adam Stumpf quite a bit about... he's way into this kind of stuff too. Old distilleries that get refurbished. Yeah. Obviously, that's right up his alley. But he said that in our tour guide too, she said this area looked just like the woods across the street. And Adam said there are a few pictures of what they kind of came into, and it's just amazing to see those. I haven't seen the picture, but apparently it's just that it's woods. But here's something that was built. Well, what is that? I have to cut all these trees down to even get to it.
So Garrett and Matt, had you been here before?
No, this is our first time being here.
Okay, so we're all rookies here except for Chris. Yeah,
been here once.
It's really cool, right? Like I think one of you guys commented this has the most character or vibe of any place we've been to. So yeah,
definitely. It's beautiful out here.
Yep, definitely. If you're coming down here for any kind of distillery visit, I would highly recommend stopping in here. And apparently, you can get a bite to eat, food truck. We're not doing that today, are we, Chris?
We might. I think we should check it out at least.
Might as well.
Yeah.
So very cool. Did she mention any, or do you know, Chris? Like, how big of an operation is this? What are they putting out?
I am
compared
not
to
sure.
some other places we've been. It looks.
I mean, it looks similar in size to maybe not quite as big as Four Roses.
Yeah.
Which we just came
from.
Yeah,
we should probably mention that too.
This is our second distillery of the day.
Yeah, Four Roses was cool. Very European-looking, Spanish-style architecture.
Yeah.
And then they've got the brand new visitor center, which is very nice and big.
Yeah, it used to just be the parking lot for the old visitor center, and now it's a visitor center in a parking lot.
Yeah.
But it's very nice. I mean,
it was cool. It was a neat tour. It felt small to me. Like, we kind of just...
They do a good job of kind of keeping that smaller-ish feel, but it is a huge brand.
Yeah, they're obviously putting out a lot of product, but it's a small, overall small facility. But yeah, that was neat. They did mention that Castle and Key here does not use the same cooperage, right? There's someone out of Ohio or something, I thought she said.
Oh, okay, yeah.
As opposed to Independent State.
Well, I don't know if I can finish my old-fashioned then if they use Independent State, because I'm loyal through and through.
Right. So that's the first place we've gone, I think, that didn't use Independent State, I believe. But
and I don't know. It's a lot of distilleries will use many different cooperages. They buy barrels from whoever is making barrels, and they can buy from. So I'm sure that's the situation here too. So.
Right.
So let's go around. Like we only have one more distillery visit left, and that's the big one. That's our barrel pick at Wilderness Trail, which we'll be headed to shortly. But you've done a handful of distilleries, big and small, so far. So what's everybody's favorite? What was everybody's favorite experience so far? Go ahead, Jeremy.
I'm a little torn. I think that for the experience and the tour itself, like with the tasting, I'd probably go with a Limestone Branch.
Yeah.
Just because I'm really fond of the Yellowstone. And sitting on that patio, Bloody Mary was life-changing. I mean, it was epic.
I know, right? It's Kentucky.
Bacon salt, everybody out there. It's a real thing, and you need to buy some.
And you need to get some. It's Kentucky hospitality at its finest right there. It's on display.
Yeah, but I think, as far as the big production, I think Buffalo Trace still is something that is where most people are going to go and check that out. So I kind of like that, but I also like their weeded products. So I'm a little torn, but I'd probably go, if I had to pick one, a Limestone Branch.
And what's the worst distillery you've been to? Don't answer that. How dare you? Keeping this podcast PG. Garrett?
We think Garrett.
Well, I think with my first visit here to Castle and Key, I'm going to have to take this one. The grounds are beautiful. I love the architecture, obviously, of the castle, and that they haven't gone and covered up all the history. There's also, which is unique to here, they have 2 water towers, which
I noticed that
most don't, or only have one, or if they even have one. So So I think that's pretty cool. And like I said, they haven't been like restored or anything, so they're patina.
Yeah, there's definitely a rusty patina to everything.
Is one of the water towers for the Old Crow and the other one's here? Can't really tell the distance and which building's which. I've never been here.
We'll have to drive over and check that out. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's... No, I think the other one's here on... Because we walked under it, right?
Yeah,
or is
I thought
that
it
that
was...
one? We walked under this one.
I thought it was part near the old bottling plant.
Okay. Yeah. It's over that way. I don't know why you need 2 water towers.
I like it, though.
Yeah.
More water?
Well, this one actually has the castle ridges at the top of this water tower. I think the other one does not, but this one does, and it's kind of... It even looks like it's just metal that they've kind of added there.
Yeah.
So imagine just, we already got the water tower up, but, it needs to look more like a castle.
Yeah. And there is a partial moat.
There's a moat.
It's true.
Yes.
It's spring-fed.
I was unable to find the alligators that I'm sure live in it, but...
Matt, what do you think?
The neat thing is all of them have their own distinct character.
Yeah.
So the Yellowstone Limestone Branch has the real down-home feel. But I think my favorite was probably Maker's Mark and the Star Hill Farms, and just getting to sit there, and it didn't hurt that we had like one of the nicest days to sit outside either.
It was.
So, but a lot of art on there, and they're constantly, keeping it up, and it's just a real nice place to visit as well.
Yeah.
We also have Wilderness Trail still, so maybe that could be the game changer for all of us.
It could be.
Never know.
I think that I liked, like you said, everyone has their own character and appeal in a different way. I think overall, the whole campus and experience, I would say Maker's Mark. The tour guide and the information we got would maybe be Limestone Branch. I felt like that was the best, sort of like giving you what you need to know. We actually, putting your hand in the mash and tasting it, all that stuff, kind of getting right in there.
Down and dirty, you're there. Yeah.
We even had that Bill Samuel Jr. sighting.
We did.
Oh, that's right.
Makers,
Makers,
yes.
yeah.
So, yeah, probably Makers, if I had to pick one, was my favorite experience. But I definitely love it here, too. Castle and Key is gorgeous. And I love the old character and history of it. So, yeah.
I had a question for you, Chris, real quick. When we were inside Castle and Key today, there was one of the vat getting filled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen that happening before on one of your tours since you've been on so many, or is that something like pretty unique that we got to see it?
It's not a common thing to see because you're only in the fermentation area on your tour. If a tour lasts an hour, you're only in there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever. So if they're just not doing anything exciting that day, then you just look at mash bubbling away or whatever. But this one was filling right out of the pipe, and we got some pretty cool pictures of that, and so it was kind of I won't say I've never seen it, but it was kind of a nice little treat to check that out.
Now at Four Roses, they were adding distillate to one of the vats, which we hadn't seen anywhere else either. So, right.
And I guess that was the setback going in, like for a sour mash. If
Proofing
I'm not
it up.
mistaken.
I said proofing it up, yeah.
I'm not sure. Well, you would add that setback into
helping it along.
right before it's distilled, I think.
Yeah.
So I guess that would make sense. I don't know. This is why we need an expert like Adam here.
So yeah, definitely. What about you? What was your favorite so far?
It's almost like picking my
Seasoned
favorite
veteran.
kid, so
Right.
it's tough to. And as Jeremy said, but you have your favorites.
Which
so
one
just
is
go
your
ahead
favorite
and tell
kid?
us.
Which
Well,
one?
it's obviously no. But out of the ones that we were at over this trip, gosh, they are all just great for individually for different reasons. I like the tasting better at this place, and I like the tour better at this place, and I like the hangout, or the vibe here or whatever. I think this place might be my favorite of. I've been to the others so many times. I've only been here at Castle and Key once, besides today, and it has changed quite a bit from when I was here. It was pretty early on. They just had vodka and gin to taste. None of this stuff was set up as far as where the bar is and all that. There wasn't much of a hangout area. They had plans to do all that. So it's kind of like going to Log Still, how we and they have all these plans for these huge things. But I think this is probably my favorite. Just the vibe, and I love looking at the old, the old torn up buildings and stuff, and they do a really good job of like Garrett said, kind of maintaining the look and feel of the, rotting away, but it's not going anywhere. It's not. It's stabilized or whatever. But it's just
it's definitely cool. We are back for the final segment of the Stubborn German podcast, Kentucky edition.
Woo!
We just
Bluegrass edition.
Bluegrass. Yep. We just finished our barrel pick.
We did
the Wilderness Trail barrel pick. Yeah. I'm Jared.
Hi, Jared.
This is Chris.
Hi.
We are also joined by
Jeremy and Matt.
And somewhere Garrett is floating around.
Garrett's on the phone or something.
But,
he'll come back.
Yeah. So this is near the end of our weekend. Not really weekend, but half-week trip.
Yeah.
And we're leaving early tomorrow morning. So we've already done all of the distillery tours.
All the fun has already been had.
Bar hopping. Yes. Yep. Not all of the fun. We'll have some more fun tonight.
I'm sure.
These guys will have fun making fun of me.
Why would they make fun of you?
Because I said something stupid at
we will get into that
Wilderness Trail.
Yes, we will.
So we've already kind of touched on some of the other distilleries that we've been to.
Yep.
We wrapped up today with Wilderness Trail, which was very cool.
Danville, Kentucky.
Danville.
About an hour south of our house here in Lawrenceburg.
Yeah.
It's really about the furthest geographically away distillery from Lawrenceburg. Otherwise,
could you
everything
pick
is
a
within
further
an hour.
Distillery, Chris?
A further distillery? Hold on.
Just kidding.
No. A Scotch distillery.
I will say, again,
Louisville.
I didn't really have any expectations, but... So this was, again, sort of a strange mix of, like, it felt brand new. Everything there felt new, yet it was really big. Like, a big facility, lots of rick houses, all new stuff that wasn't even there the last time you guys were here, right? So it was this, like, big, new facility that almost feels like it's been around a while, but it also feels brand new.
It's got a newish feel, and I guess when we were leaving Castle and Key, I think somebody mentioned the water aspect of it. Like a lot of these old time distilleries are built next to some water, so usually a lake or usually it's a creek or a river. Maker's Mark has a lake right up on top of the hill, but water source is key, especially way back in the day when you're trying to establish a brand new distillery. You need a good, reliable fresh water source. Where nowadays, Wilderness Trail's right outside of Danville. You can just have the city bring you water, and you have.
Is that what they do? They don't have
I guess
a lake nearby
assume,
or whatever?
There's no lake that I know of. Maybe I don't know. Definitely not like a river right behind it or something like that. So.
Now, Jeremy and I were new to this whole thing, and we got the VIP treatment, right, Jeremy? Definitely. So we went in for our barrel pick.
Yes.
And we were gold. We were royalty, basically.
We were in like this little, what do they call it, the front office or
the parlor.
The parlor. We had the parlor.
Very
treatment.
nice leather.
Kentucky. That's a parlor.
It's a parlor.
Button tucked chair.
Yes. There's all these bottles like lined up behind me and
like
in front of me to the side.
Bourbon
library. It was like I was
library.
in somebody's library, but it was a library full of bottles of bourbon.
Half gone bottles of whiskey. Yeah.
My kind of library.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Picture a cigar lounge with a bourbon bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it was very cozy, comfortable, leather furniture.
Yep.
Emily was our guide, so to speak.
Yeah.
And she was very accommodating, and she's like, "Oh, if you want to move the furniture around, just move it wherever you want.
Yeah,
get comfortable, basically."
And she had some fun too. She tasted along with us a little bit.
By the end, she was a little tipsy. I'm just gonna say
she was not.
She was very professional. She's a pro.
She's a pro.
So how many bourbons did they start us off? Not bourbons. Sorry.
Yeah, we did not pick bourbon. We picked rye
today
whiskey.
was a rye whiskey pick.
Yep.
How many rye whiskeys did they start us off with?
4. Correct? So the last time we did a rye whiskey barrel pick, they gave us 6 to choose from.
6,
and I will tell you that's about 2 or 3 too many.
Yeah,
like, it's just a lot
4
to sort through.
about right.
Yeah, and then
now that being said,
so let's go through the process.
Yeah.
There's more to the story. So,
tell our listeners.
So the very first thing we did, Emily passed us all out. We had a glass of each of the 4 in front of us. And we just started kind of diving in, smell them, kind of on our own a little bit at first, and then we'd discuss as we tasted. Right?
She was kind of cagey. She didn't want to tell us too much too soon.
And that's typical.
Yeah, let us discover it for ourselves.
You want the people to pick a barrel based on the way it tastes. If they love this because of whatever, then that's the barrel that goes home with you.
Yeah.
Like, don't make it about the age of it or where it was in the like. Okay, you may have a tendency to like old whiskey or young or whatever it is, but she was very good about just just pick your favorite, and I'll give you the information when you need it.
Yep.
So we went through all 4. And let's see, the first, can you remember each one? Like,
I do
Should
remember.
we talk about each one? So the first one it started sweet, right? Started sweet, and it was a little, not boring at all. It was delicious.
Several of us described it as soft, I think, and just sort of
plain.
Normal.
Yeah,
plain,
it was just
normal. It was good,
but
it was just
solid.
Like, this is
What was that?
It was solid.
It was solid.
It was solid, but it was a normal, plain
Not a
whiskey.
single barrel profile that necessarily stood out.
Yeah, it didn't stand out, which is what we were looking for. Something that stands out.
Ideally, you find something. What I'm always looking for in a barrel pick is if I can get something that's unique and delicious. Sometimes they're unique, but they're not, like, what's unique about them is not that delicious or just doesn't work, and you just pass on those. But what you love, if you can, is to find one that's unique and delicious. Like, whatever that uniqueness is like, wow, that's really cool. And those are the home runs for barrel picks.
Yeah.
So first one was just not doing that for us. So I feel like we could have bought that on the shelf. Any
Yeah, it definitely wasn't bad. It just was just like, okay, that's fine.
It fit their regular.
But we're here
profile.
to pick something special.
Yes. Like, let's go.
Now that being said,
number 2
was solid.
crazy. Yeah, it was really good.
2 was good. To me, it was sweet. It had a sweet
Start.
nose.
Yeah.
And a start. It had a quick burn.
Yep.
But didn't linger too long. That burn was kind of died off.
The finish is what did it for me or didn't do it for me. And that's why
you kind of pointed out. I'm not sure about the finish. Yep.
You guys talk about it a little bit. What did you think about number 2?
Number 2, I remember it having more of a butterscotch on the nose, and then it had a pretty good profile with a little pepper, but it kind of finished a little quicker than the others.
So go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, it faded. I thought it faded pretty quick.
Yeah, comparing it to number 1, I felt like 1 had that long burn. Like it burned for a while going down, and then 2 faded pretty quick, like you said.
Yeah. I couldn't get behind the finish on it. Otherwise, I liked it. I liked the flavors it had going on. It did have a nice, like, fresh, oaky thing. But just that finish, we had to kick that. So, so the third one was
number 3.
That was the lighter one, right? It had a pretty short finish as well. And
a little more herbal notes.
We found it was lower proof.
I described it as buttery.
Buttery, herbal, botanical. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of flower notes, potpourri.
I called it potpourri.
Yeah. And lower proof. Not a lot lower, but a little bit lower.
Yeah.
And it was good. In fact, it was in the running.
It grew on us.
Yeah.
Or me anyway.
Yeah.
As we sat there and kind of went back and forth for 20 minutes, half hour, eventually that kind of, where I was ready to kick it right away, it kind of came back to me as this could maybe be the one, because it was interesting. I wasn't sure. I mean, that potpourri kind of thing was really unique, but I'm not really sure that I love potpourri.
Yeah.
I love the smell of potpourri. I just don't want to drink it or eat it.
If I want to drink it, yeah.
Now, before 3 started growing on us, we all tried 4, and we kind of liked it. We liked it. It had a little bit of the burn that 2 had.
Yep.
I described it as being very similar to 2. But Matt, what did you think? How was 4 maybe different from number 2? Do you remember?
4 as opposed to number 2, I really remember it just really nailing the rye whiskey profile.
Yeah.
And it had a little more punch to it. It had bolder flavors that tended to last, and it was just a dynamite pour.
Kind of like what you would expect to get from a good rye whiskey.
Yeah, it was checking all the boxes, and I immediately kind of I think I said that in the truck on the way back. That when I first tasted it, it immediately I kind of had the little exclamation point in my head, like, okay, that is one I'm gonna kind of remember and hang on to and probably fight for. If everybody else hates it and I have to put up a fight for one of them, this might be that one. And that's a good thing when you go through a tasting, because you want to find one you love. Like So I was kind of
it didn't take very long for pretty much all of us to agree to rule out number one, right?
Yes.
We kicked that out pretty quick.
The typical one or whatever.
And then it was down to 2, 3, and 4. But then
we got stuck.
They decided to throw us a curveball.
Macaulay stepped in.
Macaulay came in.
Macaulay is the barrel guru. He's the bourbon Swami, of course. And he came in to check on us, and he said, "How's it all go? How's everything going? What are you up to?" And you kicked number one. That's my favorite. Of course, he's playing along. And then he's just like, "I'll get you another one if you want to try one more." I'm like, well,
and we sort of shrugged our shoulders, and we were like, "Okay,
all right,
why
not?
Yeah,
What 5?
Yeah,
let's do 5.
From 5. Why not?" So now, instead of picking from 4, we picked from 5.
But really, we're only picking through 4 again because we immediately kicked out number 1.
We got rid of 1, so it was back to having 4 choices, 2 through 5. And what did we think of 5 right off the bat?
Right off the bat, we thought this could be a game changer.
All kind of liked it.
We were just like, oh, wow, this is
In fact,
really good.
I think Garrett said this is a game changer.
Yeah, somebody did, yeah.
There was a lot going on with that one that you could tell right away. It's like, hey, there's something special about this bottle. It reminds us of 3, but kind of on steroids. So that kind of then changed opinions about number 3.
Yeah.
So
and then,
personally, there was something about 3. I kept describing it as buttery, but there was something about it I didn't care for. It just, I don't remember what it was, but there was something to it that I didn't really like. But 5 had a similar butteriness to it that I did like. So 5 right away stood out as this might be the one.
This might be the one. I thought the same thing. I liked it quite a bit. And then, we ended up kicking 3 out because we all thought that 5 was better than 3.
Exactly.
Do we kick out 2 before 3?
Oh, yeah, 2 had been gone already.
Yeah, so we kicked out 2 second.
Yeah. We kind of described, a couple of us described 2 and 4 as similar, but 4 was better, so we just went with 4.
Right. And then 3 and 5
were
similar.
3 and 5 were similar, 5 was better, so it came down to 4 and 5, which were pretty different.
Yeah. They were different. And we
do you remember the proofs on them?
Of course I do, Jared.
4 and the age.
Just give me a second so I can find my notes. The proofs and the age were number 4 was barreled in on
March 2017, I think.
No, this is not my notes. Hold on.
I have it on the bottom of my notes.
I think 4 was 2017, March 2017, and 5 was April 2018, if I recall correctly.
Here we go. Yeah, so 4 was barreled in April of 17.
Okay, April of 17.
5 was March of 18. Okay. So 4 was about a year older, and 4's proof was about 106.
Yeah.
5's proof was like 103.5.
Yeah.
So slightly higher proof on 4, slightly older, year older. And when you're only talking 4 or 5 years old, a whole year does make quite a bit of a difference.
And
if you're talking 12 to 13 years, probably that 1 year does not make much of a difference, but 4 to 5 is
those
quite a bit.
proofs are pretty close, but you could feel the difference on the proofs. You could definitely tell the 106 was higher.
Yeah. And we eventually kind of we took a vote, kind of went around the room and said, okay, between 4 and 5, what are you picking? We went around and everyone, it was a unanimous 100%. We all picked number 4, except for Mr. Newbie over here, Jared.
I'm a newbie.
I know, but you got it right.
Jeremy also got it right. I picked 5, but I said if 5 wasn't here, 4 would be my choice. So I kind of leaned towards 5, and part of me went with 5 because to me it was a little bit different. 4 felt like this is what, in my head, I think a good rye whiskey should taste like. And 5 was a little different, and I thought, hey, if you want to do a pick a barrel pick to sell at the brewery, maybe you go a little different. But honestly, if I wasn't there, 4 would have been the pick. And everybody else agreed on 4, so I got shot down.
Totally shot down.
As always happens.
And I was nice, and I said, I think I'm leaning towards 4, like 60-40.
Yeah, it was not really 60-40.
And then in the truck, I was like, it was more like 80-20, but whatever.
It was more like 80-20. Yeah.
I didn't want to
Thank
hurt
you
his
for
feelings.
not hurting my feelings, Chris.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
nice like
and it went pretty quick. Like we all had agreed, you know. It didn't take a lot of arguing or debating or anything.
No, I mean it's
pretty obvious.
And as I was saying, like it's good and it's fun to like do your due diligence and like really eliminate each one for what you don't like or what you do like about it, and eventually land on one that you love. Like that's part of that process, and you need to go through all of them. Yeah, we could have just quickly went through. I think, Jeremy, you were saying as soon as you tasted number 4, you were like, I think that's it.
Yeah.
But like, it's still worth it to go in and just really make sure that it's not number 1.
Yeah.
And because like they already poured it in your glass, they're gonna have to dump it down the drain. If you don't drink it, you might as well.
It's true.
Try to enjoy it.
And I put down in my notes a couple. I didn't really put a whole bunch of notes down because I knew going in after I had number 4, I'm like, this is it. It had that punch like number 2 had in the beginning, but it had that long finish that I wanted, and just a total. Called a mouthfeel. I don't know if that's even the right way to describe it, but it was, in my opinion, all there for everything I was looking for a rye whiskey.
So if you're kind of wondering, if you're looking to maybe pick up the barrel pick next time, you should know we were all in agreement. This was the one.
Pretty much.
This was a good pick. Yeah. Now, Macaulay, the whiskey guru, had 2 groups that he was bouncing back and forth between.
Yeah.
So we didn't actually see him that much at first.
At the pick, yeah.
But he did check in on us, and he gave us this extra choice to pick from. But then Emily, our guide, took us on a little tour. Jeremy and I had never been around the distillery, so we did the tour, which was very cool.
Yeah, it's a cool place. Good
it
facility.
Is cool. Yeah.
Nice and clean and
very clean. Yep, and new and just but then we checked in on the other group, Macaulay's other group, right?
Yeah.
So there was a whole other group of, 8 people, maybe, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
That they were doing their own barrel pick in their own little parlor, so to speak.
They did not take the tour.
They did not take the tour.
They opted out.
And they were very cool people
who
immediately welcomed us and asked us to try their pick.
Yep.
And what did they pick?
They did a blend of 2 barrels. So they actually they were going to buy 2 barrels either way, I think.
Yeah.
And they ended up saying, oh my gosh, the mixture of those 2 barrels is better than either of them on their own. Mm-hmm. So can I just get it blended and get 2 barrels of the exact same thing that's blended? And that's what they're doing.
Now, Macaulay mentioned, and I'm sort of in agreement with him, and he said, he used to be very stuck on the mindset of a single barrel is better than a blend. You should always go single barrel. And that's kind of how I have in my head. It's like you find the best barrel and that's the best one.
Sure.
Forget this blending stuff. But then it's like, well, why? Like, what's to say that mixing these 2 isn't better?
Yeah.
And he said he has come around. And now he's really encouraging that.
Yeah. And, I think like when you do a barrel pick, like part of the romance is like, I feel like if you don't really know how this works and you don't come to Kentucky to do these, you imagine that, okay, here's this group of guys or whatever, they're going through the rick house, and Macaulay's got a drill and he's like, let's try this one. And and hey, why don't we try this one while we're here? Well, that's not really how it works. Like, they have these barrels already pre-tasted and they're set for this, and so we're drinking samples out of a bottle. The barrel's still in the rick house, still aging, and it's getting older still every day, even though we already picked it. But
so that was a question I had. We're drinking out of a bottle.
Yeah.
And I thought, is this barrel already sitting in the next room to us? Like, if Chris picks this barrel, is it ready to go? No, it's still in a rick house somewhere.
Yeah. And it'll be in queue to get bottled, and
which is
eventually it'll show up. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they literally drilled a hole in that barrel, they filled up that bottle, and then that's what we drank out of. So
now, to differentiate, though, countless distilleries are going to have a small batch that might be 10 different barrels. It might be 20 different
maybe
barrels.
thousands of barrels for a big distillery when they call it small batch.
Yeah.
If 20,000 barrels is smaller than your Jim Beam white label, which is 100,000 barrels or something like that.
Now, we went to Four Roses today, and I think they had a small batch that he said was it all 10 of theirs, or was it 6 of the 10 or something like that?
It was like 6 of the 10, but I don't think it's like just 6 barrels. I think it's still many of
many barrels, but
recipe.
different recipes.
And probably at different proportions, if I had to guess.
So in this case, though, with Macaulay, he's saying, here is 1 barrel, here is another 1 barrel that you guys agree you like, and let's put those 2 barrels together. So it is still very much a pick thing. It's not a small batch like 100 different, you know.
It's almost single barrel. It's,
It's
you
2
pick
barrels.
2 single barrels and you put them together, so... Yeah, it's a cool
and we all tasted their pick. What do you think, Jeremy? It was pretty good, right?
I thought it was pretty smooth.
Yeah.
I mean,
it didn't have the kick maybe that ours had.
Yeah, was there a rye too?
There was a rye whiskey, but it was sweet. It was so sweet that when I first drank it, I immediately said, "Oh, you got bourbon."
Oh, okay.
No, that was rye.
That's a rye.
Yeah, but you're right. It was sweet and very complex and layered. Right? Mm-hmm. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I thought that it was just a much smoother profile. It was it tasted good. It just wasn't anything like ours.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
And then eventually, I think we were able to bring ours over.
Yeah,
and they tried it, and they seemed to like it.
Now
at that point, we had all had enough that we could have brought over some, Irish whiskey, and it would have been fine. But
some Old Crow,
some bourbon cream,
some bourbon cream.
And they'd have been like, "You picked a barrel of bourbon cream? How
some
cool
mint
is that?"
julep, and so it was very. Again, for me and Jeremy, it was the first time we'd ever done anything like that. It was very cool. I feel like we really kind of dialed it in. You know, I mean, we picked between 5 different whiskeys, and
we all kind of ended up agreeing on. And that's it. You talked
through it. It seemed like the right choice.
Yeah, right.
Now, in the end, in reality, we all just looked at Chris and said, "What's Chris think? Let's just do what he thinks."
Which one do you want?
Yeah.
That's what happened.
He's number 1 all the time.
That's not how it goes. I have been vetoed many times on barrel picks, and probably for the better on most of them. Yeah,
we definitely got the VIP treatment. Wilderness Trail was very kind to us.
Yes,
and much appreciated. Now, I'm sure there's a reason, right? When you're doing a barrel pick, it's a little different than just showing up in the morning for a tour.
Right.
So there's a reason for them to treat you good.
You're one of the biggest spenders of the day.
Yes.
That day. I mean, I didn't leave a check there, but we made that selection, and that's our barrel. I'm gonna pay for it. So, and I hope you're all gonna buy it.
Definitely. But they definitely treated us well. We all got to get some things in the gift shop that we appreciated.
Yeah, it was
Macaulay
awesome.
signed everything twice.
Macaulay signed bottles for everybody. First with a dry erase marker, which we found out right away that it erases pretty easily. So we got to sign it twice.
And then we all went out to dinner with the other group.
The group
and
from
Macaulay.
Maryland,
Yep.
We went to Copper and Oak to eat.
Yes.
In Danville. And
Macaulay had apparently called ahead and had a table ready for us when we got there.
Water's waiting for us.
Yep.
And I thought there'd be old fashions at everybody's spot. But,
well,
whatever.
He
I think he wanted us to all pick our own. But
it was a good time. Good food,
cool.
good people.
Smoked old fashions and everything. They did a show right at the table. It was really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, those smoked old fashions were cool, and man, that smelled good.
Yep,
those wood chips.
They tasted even better.
Did they? Now I didn't have one. What do you guys think?
I had a sip of yours, but
yeah, I thought it was. I've never had one before.
Yeah,
it might be a purchase I'm be willing to be making in the future.
Chris needs
I've seen
start,
videos
charring wood at the bar.
I know that it's something that you can go buy like little kits for. And I was like, I don't know if I'd buy the hype, but it's pretty darn good.
They smell great. I didn't get much of the flavor, but did you end up getting it really in as you drank it, or was it more just like as you take a drink, you smell it and you drink through your nose too? So
I thought I got a little bit of a taste of it too, like from they like charred the orange peel or the orange zest.
They did, yeah.
And like I was getting a lot off of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. When your mouth's on the glass, you're gonna taste it a lot more than.
So they charred the orange peel and then rubbed that charred peel all around the mouth edge of the glass. and you guys could tell.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
It's that kind of fresh wood fire, barbecue or campfire.
Yeah.
Is what goes through your mind a little bit. If you're using a good quality wood.
So you're going to get Michael and Tara and Becky and Liz to trained up on charring their wood chips and
maybe. I don't know. You never know.
It's pretty cool.
But I did ask the bartender if he was willing to move to Waterloo.
Yeah, he did. He mentioned that.
He politely declined. But,
a little time consuming.
Yeah. So, and then it was off to Boogie Nights for Paper Planes and back to the house, which is where we are now.
Yeah. Jeremy, what do you think? Your first trip to the Bourbon Trail?
I think it was all that I hoped it would be and more. I'm not just saying that. I think that, we have gone to a lot of places, and I was really appreciative to get to taste a lot of different bourbons on different places.
Yeah.
But it's just so neat to see the history. And a lot of the spiel about how it's made is the same, but they're all so unique and so different.
They are, yeah.
But, if you ever have a chance, I highly recommend coming down to the Bourbon Trail and going to these distilleries. And definitely if you have a chance to go do a pick.
Now, what about you, Jared? Yeah, what same way. What do you think?
Yeah, I said almost every stop. I didn't really have any expectations. I didn't know what this was going to be like.
You just came in open-minded, like, let's just check it out.
I've seen some videos about distilleries and stuff, and I get the process. But yeah, you don't know what to expect when you come down here. It was a great time. Like Jeremy said, every stop was a little bit different. I mean, they're all doing it the same, basically. They're brewing whiskey. It's pretty similar, but every one of them had their own distinct characteristics, which was very cool. You could appreciate anything from, a century-old historic methods of doing things to a brand new, super clean, state-of-the-art facility like Log Still, or even Wilderness Trail,
Sure.
being pretty new.
Oh, yeah.
The people all along the way were super cool.
Right.
There was no pretentiousness or anything
Not
like
at
that.
all.
Everybody was very kind and fun and friendly, so that was awesome.
And that's the one thing that I think they all have in common is that Kentucky, Southern hospitality factor. Like,
sure.
They are all there. They are genuinely happy to see you, even though there's 100 more just like you coming right behind you. And tomorrow would be the same way. That's their job. It's day in, day out. I would honestly think that would get old at some point. But they are happy to see people. They want to interact. They want to know where you're from. They think it's so cool that people drive so far away to come and check them out.
From the coffee shops in the morning to the master distillers at whatever stop you go to, everybody is polite and friendly and glad that you're there.
Speaking of the master distillers, Jared had a good question for.
Okay, all right.
Here we go. So this was all just leading up. Everything we just said in the last half hour was all just a bunch of crap. This is what you came here to listen to. Yeah.
Okay, so we're done with our pick. We're getting ready. We've already done our tour at Wilderness Trail.
And how many drinks have we had at this point?
Many drinks. But we're walking.
But they're all tiny. I mean,
we're about to go to the gift shop before we leave for the day.
And who do we run into?
To me, it's a couple of old dudes, just like standing outside. They've got Wilderness Trail T-shirts on. They look friendly, and Chris strikes up a conversation. Hey guys, how's it going? And I don't know who these guys are.
Like I would do to any
to anybody,
janitor or.
And so these guys are talking about our trip and how was it? And so I look at this one guy and I say, oh. What would jokingly, sort of tongue in cheek, like, what would you say it is you do here? Like, what do you do here? Like, he could be the janitor for all I know. I don't know this guy.
And so I quickly intervene so that the owner of Wilderness Trail doesn't have to explain that he's the freaking owner.
Yeah, he owns the place.
Yeah, Dr. Pat and Shane Baker are the co-owners.
These two guys.
I'm not sure the
they just happen to be standing there.
Yeah,
and I asked him
Jared
what they do
asked
here.
Shane what exactly he does there.
Inquisitive minds want to know.
I think he said very nice. He was very polite.
He was very cool.
Southern hospitality. He didn't make him feel bad. He's like,
no, I did
that was Chris. I own 50% of the company.
Very little. He's like, I own the place,
Well,
so very little is what I do
mine.
here. Yeah, no, he was cool about it. Yes, I had no idea who the guy was, even though 2 hours earlier he was giving a presentation that we observed.
This might be. I'll have to kind of reflect after a couple weeks go by, honestly, because I've been here so many times and seen a lot of really fun and cool, interesting things and met some really awesome people. But we got to experience today, when we got to Wilderness Trail, we walked up right where the barrel pick area is, and they have a little pavilion, and there's a bunch of people gathered around the pavilion. Macaulay sees us right away, flags us over, and he kind of whispers because somebody's talking. Mm-hmm. Shane Baker is talking.
Yes.
That's the guy that
the janitor
Jared asked. Yeah, the janitor or owner,
also
whatever.
known as the owner.
the owner.
And Macaulay goes. So hey, y'all, thanks for coming, but we're doing our 200,000th barrel ceremony. They just produced their 200,000th barrel at Wilderness Trail, and so all the distilleries, when you reach those big barrel milestones, that's like a huge deal to them, and they they get all the employees together, they rah and say how awesome it was, and it really is. It's an awesome accomplishment. And you think back about all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it all. It's probably a really emotional thing for the two owners, I would think.
Yeah.
And so we got to kind of sit in on that. I took a couple pictures, and
so
they had a
bunch of their staff, right? So this wasn't a thing where a bunch of customers are hanging out.
No.
This was all staff.
And us.
Sitting around under a tent, basically, and us.
Yeah.
And we were the only non-employees there who were watching the owner of the company
give a speech,
and say, thank his employees for doing a good job.
And he even said, like, okay, raise your hand if you've been here less than a year.
Yeah.
And, okay, they all raise their hand, and not all, but some raise their hand, and so we were really thank you all, and now hopefully you all can now who's new, and you can he's doing the HR kind of thing, and trying to make sure everybody is friendly and knows each other and their story, which that's what you should do. But they had a cake, looked like a barrel, and it said 200,000, like congrats, and it had their logo on it. Mm-hmm. And we got a piece of the freaking cake.
We got some cake.
We're doing our barrel pick, and here comes a piece of cake. I've never had cake at a barrel pick, so that was a really. I'll never forget that. That was
for sure
pretty cool. So good experience.
It was good, and a little surprising for me that I'm looking around and I'm seeing Rick House after Rick House after Rick House, and they're working on 11 or something like that.
Yeah,
big facilities, and to quote unquote only have 200,000 barrels. I was like, I figured you would have sold more than that by now.
They've sold a bunch too.
Right.
So those barrels are done and gone and replaced.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of crazy when you think about some of the distilleries we went to this weekend that are on their 7 million barrel
Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, I mean they've been around a long time, and they're the biggest.
They average about a million per
every
10
about
years
10 years.
Or so?
A million every 10 years. So they're at 200,000 after 5 or 6 years or something. Yeah. So they're ramping up still.
Yeah. Oh, and they're expanding and more and more. Yeah.
It was very cool.
Yeah,
so
it was an awesome experience.
Very neat to be there for that experience that chances are you'll never be there for a milestone like that again. I would honestly be shocked if one more time in my lifetime I got to sit in on a cake being cut for for a milestone a barrel shaped cake, right?
Yeah. And then get to eat some of that. Pretty good cake too. They said it was about 20 proof. It was made with some Wilderness Trail weeded bourbon, I think.
So for the whole week we went. Let's recap. So where was the first place we went?
Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace. And then the next kind of big facility we went to, Jeremy, do you remember?
Was that Maker's Mark?
Well, before that, we went to the Independent Stave Company.
Yes.
The Cooperage.
Yep.
And which we couldn't take any pictures. That's where they make the barrels.
Or podcast. They said
we
absolutely
couldn't podcast
no podcasting.
Yeah, right. But that
they didn't say that. We didn't ask.
Obviously very different from any of the distilleries we went to, but it was very cool. And we all smelled like charred oak when we walked out of there.
I think I still smell like that.
Yeah, we might.
What else? Maker's Mark?
Yep. And then what was after
Maker's Mark? Limestone Branch. Oh, no, Log Still.
Log Still.
And then Limestone Branch.
So Log Still's another one I didn't get any pictures of because we were sort of in a hurry. In fact, we were so much in a hurry. What did Chris do, Jeremy?
He politely told the gentleman that we needed to get
Can
going.
you wrap it up?
Politely is the key word, I think. I mean, that was exactly how I did it.
It's like, we need to be somewhere, so
You're cutting into our
stop
next
talking. And he's like, okay, let's do the tasting.
I think the guy was getting ready to go into a spiel on some like bed and breakfast
He
or
was
something.
about to
Yeah.
give us the hard sell
Obviously, being
on-
here at the Stubborn German House of
Timeshares
Bourbon, we don't
or
need to
something,
hear
yeah.
about a bed and breakfast. We have our own.
Yeah, you can sell that somewhere else. We're not buying.
That being said, Log Still was pretty cool.
It was
And you
awesome.
can see how in about 2 or 3 years it's going to be amazing. So,
Yep. And then Limestone Branch, and we hung out on the patio and had a ball.
yeah. Okay, let's go around. We've done this a little bit already, but Matt, what has been your favorite place to go this trip?
I would say at this point, Wilderness Trail,
Wilderness Trail. Okay.
And your previous answer was?
Maker's Mark.
Okay.
Okay.
And so this afternoon's
So heaven-
festivities trumped that. Okay.
Yeah.
And Jared, yours?
Man, that's tough. So I think before I said Maker's Mark,
Yep.
just for the overall vibe, the historic character and charm, and
Right.
just the look and feel. The tour itself wasn't that great, and I attribute that to the relatively new guy
Sure.
who was giving the
Yeah.
tour. It just seemed like he hadn't done this much.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere, though.
But the overall, I liked Maker's Mark. But like Matt said, today you get the royal treatment at Wilderness Trail. When you're doing that was pretty cool.
To the way to
I gotta
go.
say,
Yeah.
that's the way to go. So.
And
Garrett, what do you think?
Garrett's joining us here on the sofa.
Yes, I apologize for my
He was
tardiness.
out cleaning off his truck.
What's your name?
What's your name?
What's your name?
Tony.
Tony.
Welcome, Garrett.
We'll bleep that out.
Thanks. I would say after today, it would be Castle and Key.
Yeah, which you've
So-
never been to before, right?
Correct. And I've been down here multiple times with Chris, been to a lot of the larger distilleries, and
Yeah.
I'm finding that I like some of the smaller boutique type distilleries to be a little more unique. They treat you a little different because they're not one of the big ones where they can,
Yeah.
like you said, there's going to be 100 more of us behind
Yeah.
them. So it's just kind of neat to see something different and hear some of the history, and just, especially with that one, to learn how close it was to not even being
You're right.
there anymore except for some rubble.
Could have got wiped from the face of the
That's
earth.
right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Wasn't too far away from that. Jeremy, your favorite now after everything?
Yeah, originally it said it would have been Limestone Branch. Because the Bloody Mary was awesome. Still,
The Bloody
love
Mary
that.
Was it
Love
delicious?
that
Goes
Bloody
a
Mary,
long
that
way.
bacon salt. But definitely Wilderness Trail after doing
cool.
the barrel pick, being my first barrel pick ever, first time on the Bourbon Trail, and getting the red carpet rolled out for you, so to speak. Then the cake and just everything.
even.
And I didn't really see a whole lot of other people there, like as far
Yeah.
as other customers. I'm sure there was some like here and there.
Yeah.
but
that's
we got there a
true.
little bit later in the day.
Yeah.
And so I felt like
We should have bumped into somebody. We
They
had one
were-
other group that
Yeah.
we kind of met, but
Yeah, almost every other place there was a steady flow of just customers going
people
through
and
doing a tour. Yeah, we didn't really see that there.
I think
You're
it's
right.
partially because it's so far out there, which
Yeah.
is nice though, but it still felt very much like the Bourbon Trail, and
yeah. It
I
felt
don't-
big, but kind of small at the same time.
but very very homely. I
yes.
mean, it was
yeah.
It was later in the day though too. So
Right. That's also true, yeah.
What about you, Chris?
My
what was your favorite?
earlier was Castle and Key, and I would say right now my favorite is Wilderness Trail.
Wilderness
you feed me
Trail.
some cake, and I'm a happy boy.
Yeah,
So.
doesn't take much.
No, not at all. And some good rye whiskey. Man, that stuff is good. So yeah.
So
look
we
for-
got a barrel top signed by the 5 of us and Macaulay and the janitor.
and the janitor signed it.
Yes.
Shane Baker,
also
did.
known as
Joner.
the
And
owner.
also the
Owner
owner.
or
Yeah.
janitor, yeah.
That's my bad.
I
that
think
was
we
pretty
decided on a name for this barrel as well. I took when I saw. Okay, it's not every day you see the owners of whatever distillery you're at. It really isn't. And we really lucked out to see Mr. Samuels at Maker's
Yeah,
Mark.
right.
That was really awesome. That's almost a celebrity sighting
Yeah.
type situation. Even though I'm sure he's there all the time, but for me, I've never seen him there. I've been there a bunch. But anyway, to see the two owners, Shane and Pat, at Wilderness Trail, and then Macaulay kind of jumped right in the middle of them, and they're yucking it up. Well, that's when Jared moved over and made his And so I took a big picture, and I got all 4 of them, the 2 owners, Macaulay and Jared, and it looks like Jared's asking them a picture. So I think we're literally going to take that picture and make a sticker, put that on the bottle, and it's going to be the so what do you do here,
So what
Barrel?
do you do here, pick?
And now
Much
you know
like
story.
what's the German word for bratwurst? I will never live it down.
Speaking of,
Yes, the German word of the day.
if we're wrapping this
We
up,
are wrapping up
we
this
have a little
episode.
business to take care of real quick.
Yes. Do you remember the word?
Kugelschreiber.
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 Can you use it in a
Which I'm going to
sentence?
say it's
Let's-
not a pastry anymore.
So, okay, I think let's recap our guesses. We have a dessert, we have a pastry, we have a
Cougar bait.
cougar bait, and a
Schnitzel.
schnitzel,
schnitzel,
of course.
right.
Change your mind to
you're-
soy
you're-
sauce.
You're all
Soy sauce.
you're all correct. You're all 100% wrong. Kugelschreiber means ballpoint pen.
Ballpoint pen.
We needed a new glass at the brewery to hold our pens.
Okay.
That you sign, for your credit card receipts. And I found a coffee mug on Etsy or something, and it was just a white coffee mug, and it says the word Kugelschreiber across the side of
Kugelschreiber.
it. So when you see that at the brewery, that's what that is. It's ballpoint pen.
Nice.
Yep,
We were so close.
so close.
So we are wrapping up this episode. We are at 2 hours now, so this will probably be. We'll split this up between a couple episodes.
This might be 4 episodes.
That's right. But I want to say thank you to Chris for inviting all of us, but me, down for this barrel pick and this Bourbon Trail trip.
And you say that, and you can get right back on this spiel that you're on. But honestly, my favorite part about coming down here is taking new people that are kind of interested in it, don't really know what to expect. And I feel like that's both of you guys,
Yeah.
Jared and Jeremy. They've never been down here, and I don't know. That's
Did not know what to
that's how
expect.
I get my kicks is to see new people, like, see the look in their eyes when they see some of this stuff. That,
Yeah.
and some of the realizations that you come to as you take some of these tours, and how awesome the facilities are and everything. So I appreciate you guys coming, and hopefully you'll come back.
And to really kind of put a point on it, we've talked about it a couple times, but we are now in the Stubborn German House of Bourbon.
That's it.
Which you will be able to come down and rent out at your convenience, or hopefully come down with Chris on a barrel pick, or
Sure.
Who knows? But you've got a place to stay that you don't have to worry about or think about. Where am I going to go?
So
or is it
that's the
close to
plan.
anything?
Yeah. I want to, honestly, I would love to be able to put together, if someone says, okay, I want to rent your place for 3 nights, can you help me put together an itinerary? And, give me, help me figure out which, and that's what I want to do. I want to help plan their trip.
Yeah.
What do you got, Jeremy?
I wanted you to do that for me. I'm turning 40 in August.
He's raising his hand, but
so
that means-
that's a school teacher.
Gotcha.
Me raising my hand. I want to be able to have a trip planned in August.
Done. Well, all right. Well, when we're
or
done
early
here,
September, depending on how golf season
we'll
goes.
talk about it as soon as we throw these microphones down.
You got to remember, though, that not everybody plans everything to the minute, though.
That's
So you
true.
might have to give them a little bit more
All you gotta-
leeway.
All you got to do is call the distillery and say we're
Now
running
we
3
did.
minutes late.
We were running around a little bit today, and we were late.
It's only twice that we had to make phone
Yeah.
We
calls.
almost missed the cake cutting.
We almost did, yeah. Yeah.
Chris has things planned out to the minute, so if you come down here, especially with Chris, you better be ready to follow the itinerary.
Yeah, you got to jump on board and do it, man.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah. But he's going to look out for you and get you where you need to be. So
Well, we had fun,
Yeah.
didn't we?
yes, definitely.
right.
So come down, talk to Chris and Tammy, set up a rental. There's room for at least 8, right?
Yeah,
8
it'll
people
sleep 8 easily,
that
yep.
can easily sleep here. It's still under construction. We had the drywall guy was here, the HVAC guy was here,
Yep.
the manager of the
Yep.
property was here.
So it's it's hustling and bustling right now, but
It's
I
been
would
interesting.
expect. I mean, it should be early July, but let's just call it August.
Yeah,
By
know.
August, you can definitely come and rent
Yeah.
the place out. Let's just
You
call
could
it
already come here. With the 5 of us
Maybe
survived.
we should call September because I know how this goes.
Yep. It's been fun for sure. We watched the Blues win,
Yeah,
and
LGB.
exactly. Yep.
That's right.
Can't wait. So tomorrow morning, we're going to early morning, heading back. Firebird Fest is next.
Yep.
Chris is going to be
Can't
parking
wait.
cars. directing traffic. I'll probably hang out up there a little bit.
Yeah?
We'll see.
That'd be great.
We'll see what kind of trouble I
can't
get
wait to
in when
see
I go
it.
back.
I'll give you a flag.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again. Thank you to Matt, Garrett, and Jeremy for joining us on this adventure and participating in the podcast. And as usual, with every end of episode, we take a drink and we cheers to each other.
Gross!
Are recording now.
So, Jared, what is it that you do here?
I say dumb shit in front of owners of distilleries.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So, are you the janitor here?
Inquisitive minds want to know, all right? Just wonder what he did. For all I know, he owns the place. Or he takes out the trash.
Or I change the toilet paper in every bathroom. They do it twice
Somebody's
a day.
got to do it.
Someone has to.
I had to ask.
So, what do you do here? The guy that was making the speech about the 200th
God.
barrel.
I don't know.
Barrel,
all I was looking at.
And cutting the cake for everyone.
My mind was on the cake. I'm not watching the guy making the speech.
It was literally
I'm
the
checking out
guy
that
cutting his own cake for his company's 200,000th barrel on the most celebrated day.
Yep.
And Jared says, "So what do you do here?"
What is it as you...
Well, I cut
know.
cake and I give speeches.
For all I know, he's in HR. What am I supposed to... Chris dropped the ball letting me know with this guy that he actually owns the place.
All right, we have to actually start this.
Yeah, we're recording, so whenever you want to start. Or we're missing a guy.
He'll come back.
Hey, we come back. All right. Ready? We better be, because we are recording.
Oh, no. I always get nervous when we're recording. Okay.
Careful what you say.
Okay, yeah. Keep my comments to myself.
Why do I have the shake so bad?
I think that's the dehydration.
It's called alcohol.
Need more electrolytes.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.